Welcome, everybody. I'm Santiago Kneeland, and this is The Divine Within, the invisible connection with God. Today, we're going to talk about ancient wisdom, sound, spirit, and the Christ frequency. And I'm very pleased to be joined by a very dear friend from a long time ago. It's Michelle Bouton. She's a visionary leader and a sound alchemist. She's the founder of Shikome, a global movement of world music and healing arts dedicated to awakening consciousness and restoring planetary harmony. With over 25 years devoted to studying vibration, ancient wisdom, and divine technology, Michelle bridges science and spirituality, reminding us that sound, energy, and love are languages of the same source. In this episode, we journey through heavenly government, music, and sound, ancient technologists, and Christ consciousness, discovering how celestial order, ancestral knowledge, and divine love converge to guide humanity's evolution. So welcome, Michelle. I'm really pleased to have you here.
Well, thank you, Santiago. It's an honor to be joining you in this stage of our lives and to be able to share with all of you a little of this humble path.
Yes, exactly. And let me just point out that we have a history from Mexico. We've been in rituals. We've been in this spiritual path. So we've shared these experiences, and that's why I think it's very near to the heart, because we've experienced this together. So I like sharing all of this wisdom and knowledge that we've learned through this process. All right. And let me just stayed with an intro on this segment, which is music and sound. It's creating divine consciousness, and this is something that you do a lot. So I'm going to read what my thoughts are on this, but I believe that music is the heartbeat of creation, the living bridge between the seen and the unseen. In the heavens, celestial musicians weave harmonies of energy and light that echo divine truth on earth. These same vibrations inspire healing, unity, and transcendence. Sound becomes sacred when we use it consciously to attune the human soul with the frequencies of love, truth, and divine will. So that is my take. And what can you share of what you do and how you view music and vibration harmony throughout the universe?
Meteot, and here asking permission to the spirit world and to divine to share with all of you this beautiful path of sound and harmony, which has been guiding my life since I was young. And, discovering how this universal vibration of frequency of the divine is what sustains and holds us together as a system, as a galaxy, as a universe, as a living consciousness. We are within this frequency. I call it the frequency of love, because it can only be love if it is holding us within this vibration, which is God consciousness, and that everything that is in existence is sound. We are a walking symphony as human beings, knowing that sound and vibration is the frequency of the unity of all our organs, all our our blood system, our heartbeat, and this on the micro level, and on a macro level, we go to communities and societies, and on a larger scale, we have the planets and the solar system. And all of this is the symphony, as we've heard in many ways, the symphony of the spheres. And it is from this that creation has come about, is mathematic, is divine geometry, sacred geometry, which is this grid work of music and sound, and why this has been so important in all cultures, in all traditions, in all philosophies of all times. Even we have the ancient uh, priests and leaders that were, you know, knew about sound and frequency and harmonics to be able to bring harmony mhm, in a body or within a society. So, I learned this first because, of course, I was a DJ in my, I
Yes,
say,
I remember that.
in my other life, and I realized how, through sound, I was able to transform the environment of a space and uplift the hearts and souls of the people that were receiving the music. And I would choose music that had special messages, and then I would use, even mantras. I'm talking, 30 years ago when this was still very new. And then
Yes,
I switched the turntables into sound bowls. And began all my studies and on the spiritual path and ancient technologies and shamanic teachings, and how each song is a representation of the universe, of the wind, of the birds, of the harmonics of the solar systems. There really is not silence per se, because everything vibrates. It's just not audible to the human ear. And this is where I received this vision of being able to create a music festival to promote a culture of peace, to honor the ancient traditions, and to open and bring awareness of consciousness through sound, because it touches these fibers that are within. And the moment, it can even be 1 second, that this sound or this word of a song touches this fiber that activates our DNA and connects us to God, to divine, to great spirit, to source. And we remember. We remember.
yes. Yeah, yeah, and it all makes sense. I really, really enjoy and like what you say, because this is exactly what I talk about in the Mayan cosmology, not the Mayan cosmology, what I call it's the human matrix pattern and the law of time. So in the human matrix pattern, like you're saying, everything is a mathematical, everything is a fractal. And what it states is that, everything, and it's particularly in our case, in this, let's talk about Earth and where we are, is there's two frequencies, two sequences. One is called the 13 tones of creation, and the second one is the 20 seals of destiny, which is the local, it's the local projection of the sun, the solar system of these. But I mean, these 13 tones, let's say it's the the coarse or the thick frequency, and then the 20 seals is like the fine tuning of the frequency. So, and this generates what is the code of the human matrix pattern, which is a combination of these 13 tones and 20 seals that make a 260 matrix, 200 seal matrix, or not seal, kin. They're called kins, and this is very common. If everybody has heard of this word before, and it's that galactic seal, and it codifies. It's very interesting because every day has a different energy, and that also influences you, and it codifies you, and it gives you a galactic signature. So the interesting thing about this is that the construction, like you're saying, is a frequency. There are two frequencies, and we're all sound, and even though maybe we're not perceiving our physical structure as sound, it is a frequency, it is a vibration. So I really like this on the way that you're presenting it, because it's the way that I view it. And a lot of the times, the way I see what's happening, in the interaction of the universe, or let's say the canvas, and we particularly as humans, and then collectively within the realms of the different beings and other mortals and other planets. I mean, the whole creation. I see that the universe is, and the will of God, and the structure is sort of the harmony, and we as individuals are the melody. So we play within those. And the more harmonious it is, it's within, there's certain rules in music that, there's certain keys that you cannot play because within the certain harmonic structures, because it doesn't sound right. But you can give it qualities of a major, of a minor, and you can make all these different colorings. And I, as a musician, as well, view this, the construction of how we live as music. We're playing a song, we're interacting within time, because that's another element of music. It's within time. It's not static like maybe an image. It has a birth and death, each time that you hear a song, and you can relive it all the time, but it has a beginning and an end. And when you play it, and what you were saying, in like when you were a DJ, the connection you feel with the people. And I was, when I was a musician, playing with my bandmates, and when you're in harmony and in sync, playing the song, and then within a concert, and with the performance, it creates like I would let's I'll pass it to you, but let me end with saying, God is a DJ, in Faithless's words.
Exactly, in Faithless's words, God is a DJ. It's good. That's exactly it comes from, and the importance in these times to be able to attune
Yes.
into our essence of our true nature, of our harmony, of our God essence. This is why I love this theme of the divine within, because through sound and frequency is where we are able to awaken and remember this divine within, which is the nature of God that speaks to us through sound and music. And how coming together, it's like this matrix of all these grid lines.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And the more that we are capable of harmonizing within, then these points start connecting, and it's like this technological platform
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that is this is how we can contribute also to the evolution of our system and of our planet as a humankind. In the chants of the rituals, and in the sound of a conch, or the sound of a drum, we are calling in spirit, and we are connecting to the spirit world.
A mantra is exactly that, and it's a inner vibration.
Yes, and they it's all the signs are always there. They come in many forms and many versions of the sacred geometry, as you were talking about the 1320, and the energy of each day, and the sacred seven,
Hmm.
the spheres,
Yeah.
the
How
seven
certain?
worlds.
Yeah, there's. I mean, the geometry you're saying about the geometry, how you see it in different reflections. The three, the seven, the Trinity, the four. And it's not coincidence. It's even the 11:11. It has certain connections to certain qualities, of course.
Yes, and if we look even the movement of the birds, or the blowing of the leaves of a tree, the waves in the ocean, this is all part of universal frequency to bring balance and harmony here in our sacred planet, Urantia.
Yes.
And how that is a reflection and a mirror of the universe. So, in the way that we are capable of bringing this consciousness within ourselves is a way that, God reveals himself, the spirit. The spirit is sound. The spirit is music. And
Definitely.
this
Definitely.
unites us as, as this one consciousness that we are a part of. And I find that there's a moment right now, there's so much separation happening. And the more that we attune to this frequency, then we know that it's oneness. It's this unity of this orchestration of this symphony of love.
Just to point out and talking about back in the day when you were a DJ and when we met and it was early 2000s and I mean the connection in the parties that we went to. I mean, and this I did just to briefly mention that part or maybe that part of history or our generation. There was a lot of unity. It's something very different that I see uh, sometime nowadays. And I understand that the digital world is a big contributor to that. But back in the day, we didn't really rely a lot on technology. I mean, it was the transition of the beeper to to the maybe not the smartphone. It was it was the pretty phone, but we went to parties and we were very loving with each other. It was everything was about unity. Everything was about and music. That the music that we heard. And I think that time in history will never be replicated. And the quality of the music that was created. The early 2000s. And we're talking about especially electronic music that was created there. I mean, they are anthems, and I think that's where like my parents' generation, the hippies, have the end of the '60s, that part. I think that our generation, contributed a lot in that part of time with music, and that's the point.
Yes. Although with this openness now and awareness that has expanded on many levels, it's interesting because now we have the medicine music and the healing music and all these spaces where, people converge listening to music that is more meaningful and that has a special, frequency that connects us to the spirit world, to the natural world, to the celestial world.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where this convergence, this harmonic planetary convergence is, I believe, growing because of expanded consciousness. Because before, we used to talk about this and people would think we were completely crazy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, they still some do, but
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, we were pioneers talking about this, and starting these paths that we took. We were pioneers in that, and it's interesting, and that was like a starting point. I think in at least in my life, and I believe in yours as well. That point in time where yes, there was all of this, and there was we were 20 something, and it was that time in your life when you experienced that, but then you mature and through different paths, in different ways, and you gain this wisdom, and I think we've reached the same conclusion, although we haven't really crossed paths throughout that. But I mean, we've reached the same conclusions in what we experienced there. So I'm really happy about that, and we in our conclusions, right?
well, because
So
we're on the same frequency.
exactly. That's
This is
exactly. So
it.
it's like being attuned to the same channel and TV, right? We're seeing the same thing. We're experiencing the same thing. Yeah, exactly. That goes to show what we just talked about. So
I'm going to share. If we're talking about sound and we're talking about music, then I'd love to share with all of you some tunes to connect and to share gratitude and uh, bring peace to our hearts and to all.
In this segment, we're going to talk about ancient technologies, rituals, plants, and the Great Spirit. Long before modern science, ancient civilizations mastered the technology of spirit. Through ceremonies, songs, sacred plants, and the reverent ritual, they tuned their hearts to the Great Spirit, the creative force that animates all life. These practices remind us that technology isn't always mechanical. Sometimes it's ritual, rhythm, and the remembering of our oneness with nature and the divine. So, Michelle, a lot of what you do is based on these technologies, these rituals, these ceremonies, the songs. What can you tell us in your experience that you've seen? You know, what does it do to your soul, to you, and you know, in a general sense, what can you tell us about this?
Mm. Those ancient technologies, for me, is this ancestrality of the elder wisdom. And what I refer to elders is the elders of the ancient beings, the ancient ones, as is the ancestrality of God, in a sense, and of the presence of the sacred fire, the sacred water, the sacred wind, and Mother Earth. And through the practice of ritual, which we have here in, every continent and every nation has its rituals, is a form of how we connect to divine, to the natural world, to the spirit world, to the celestial worlds, to the human world, to the animal world, to the mineral world, to the vegetable world, to the angelic world. And many of these rituals are bringing is a mirror of the dance of our solar system being represented in a ceremony. So, for example, our sacred fire, Abuelo Fuego, Tatevari, is the manifestation or the representation. It is a manifestation of the heart of the sun
Okay.
that brings us together in circle to to remember, to recall, to pray, to give gratitude, and to connect to the heart of the earth. So it's the spirit of the fire, as we know, the sacred flame, the Trinity flame, transmutes and transforms. If we focus on the sacred fire, the fire is emanating a vibration, and that vibration is a vibration of Great Spirit, the divine. It's like we're opening. It's the opening of the original Wi-Fi.
Yes.
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 This is
Of the true Wi-Fi.
the true Wi-Fi that opens the communication with the Great Spirit, with Source, with God, Creator, whichever name we want to call. And this is how we can communicate through the fire, through ritual, through ceremony. And this has been a very special, blessed path to be able to be walking with elders and receiving teachings, from Toltec tradition, from Maya tradition, from the Red Road, from different traditions and philosophies, Hindu, Buddhist, all we the sacred fire unites all of us.
Yeah, it's. Let me just make a quick anecdote. That's what where civilization was created around the campsite. The campsite. You know, I mean that's where everybody would get together. That's where myth was created. That's where we set our values. You know, and what I talk about myth and the mythical archetype. That's where we shared who we were, and that's where we envisioned who we wanted to be, and that's where we found our values, you know. And I mean, yes, God reveals Himself to us, but we do also have that yearning, and through those communications and through those connections, through the fire, within the fire, you know, and that circle is how we created civilization as well.
Exactly. Yes, this is why, as I mentioned at the beginning, for me, this is the ancient beings are the elements,
Mm-hmm.
and it's this ancient technology, because each ceremony has a design. And here, as we say, I have been able to walk with many different nations and paths, and I honor each one of them. But and each design is a technology, because through this design of the way we circle, or of what elements are brought out in what moment, is that there is a sacred geometry that is being uh, planted in the
Mm-hmm.
space, which opens up the channels to be able to receive the teachings of the spirit world, that connects to our hearts. And this is where we have these aha moments, because it's something that doesn't come through word. It comes through this feeling, this knowingness
Mm-hmm.
that spirit has touched me, has touched my heart. The mountains, the rocks, the water carries memory. Imagine all the memory that is within the water of all the civilizations. And then this water, which crystallizes, then we carry in our crystals.
Yes.
So imagine we are carrying millions of years of wisdom. If we tap into that energy field, then this can activate a memory within our DNA. So we have all these elements around us that are speaking to us. The trees, the trees have witnessed.
The sacred plants, I mean, all the mycelium, all the interconnectedness that, you know, the fungi bring to the rest of the plant world and its connectedness, you know?
Well, this exactly. Well, this is the element of Mother Earth that has brought to us sacred plants that, in a ceremonial space, activate our consciousness, that we are able to see, to remember. And in Mexico we have hikuri, we have Tononacat, the mycelium, we have the sacred tobacco. There's many plants, even in the herbal medicine also, and in many different parts of the world. It is the manifestation of Mother Earth that,
Mm-hmm.
through plant medicine, is bringing a teaching to us. And if and this, it's so beautiful, because for many years we have had this separation of the science world and the medical world and the spiritual world and plant medicines, and now we see the quantum aspect of the power that there is in the plant world, that connects us to remember, to be able to, mm, I see it as it's as a rite of passage. This is what the ceremonies bring, in the rites of passage, and it's a long life path. It's not like taking a certification.
Yeah, you did the ceremony. No, that ceremony is a stone, no, a step in the path. Let's say it. that way.
Yes, and really, I mean, I can only share from my experiences, in the Temazcal, the sweat lodge. What is a representation? The representation of the universe, which is the dome, and
Yeah.
each space where we are sitting, we are representing a system, a constellation of the universe.
Yeah.
And what do we have? The sacred, the lava, the volcano stones that come into the heart of the womb, that are
Hmm.
lit by the sacred fire, and these grandmother stones, volcano stones, no, are able to reach that temperature of the sun. So it's, again, in the sweat lodge, we are bringing this technology of the heart of the sun into the womb of the earth. And this is working on all levels of our being: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, cosmic, galactic. There's all these aspects of our being that we cannot see with our eyes. And this is why these ancient technologies that our ancestors have brought to us are, I feel that, they've come out for all of us to be able to remember and to come into ceremony, or to, go to a vision quest, or go to a sun dance, or to the moon dance, or be in a fire ceremony, in a plant medicine ceremony, uh, because these technologies really is that connection.
Yeah. You mentioned the temazcal, and I did have a lot of experiences in the temazcal, and what I like about the representation, and it's you can also see it as an archetype of what you're being represented of that ceremony, and the ceremony is that it's see it as an archetype that is of a representation of something, and this is a birth, it's the womb. You mentioned the womb. It's really we're all in there, and it's not that it's a baby or it's a human, but it's a unity, and a lot of what happens there is you go through this process, and like a lot of the concept of how the fire tempers your soul, and how that really gets all the impurities and gets it really purifies you, and not only with water but also through fire, which is much more strong. It's stronger, but that process of the sweat lodge, I remember you go through a phase where you feel like you're going to suffocate, right? And that's part of the point. It gets to a point where you still get scared, and especially afterwards, the process, and that's the interesting thing. You get to know the process, but at the moment, I remember it's you get the feeling of your fear of even claustrophobia. But once you release that, because the word is release, you release that fear, you release that, and you and understand that you're part of something that it's and even the bad thing, or that frightening thing, is part of that process. Boom, everything dissolves and you connect, and then you start even to enjoy it, and you even go into a trance state, and that's what happens in the sweat lodge. You go through a mental process that purifies you in a way that nothing else does, and that's why they were so commonly used not only in Mesoamerica but as well as the Native Americans in the United States, because they did this, right?
Yes, well, it's a whole, as I mentioned, each ceremony has its design, and this design is a process of death and rebirth. It's
Hmm.
a transformational process, so it's the physical aspect of our being that is dense. So first we work with the physical, then we go into, the emotional. That
Hmm. And that physical thing generates that emotional. It's a sequence of right.
Yes, and then we have the mental, where we need to stop the monkey mind, to be humble. This is why we come into the womb, not to come back to this humbleness where we surrender, we release. And with this release is the unity of love. And no, so it's like, we go from fear to love. This time this happens a lot in many ceremonies, not only the Temazcal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you go in without knowing what's gonna happen, what's going to present. Uh, like we never
Yeah,
know what
exactly.
is going to show up for us.
Yeah.
And then uh, it brings us to the space of pure love and unity, and to remember that uh, we are human celestial beings.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. We were talking about the galactic or the cosmic fingerprint, or the galactic print, let's call it, that we have, and these ceremonies bring us to that, in the realization of that, and that essence, and that's in these process, and these ceremonies. It's where we understand ourselves a lot, and we kind of, clear, and I think it's part of what we were saying. We understand our essence, our real nature, our individual nature. I think it's very important that the better you understand your individual nature, and that you realize that it's not the same as, although it might be similar, it's not the same path, and it's not the same personality, it's not the same destiny as others. So once you can understand yourself, and you can transcend, you can be better through, and not only within yourself but outside, and you start projecting that, and you start living that, not only for yourself but with others. So it's really important that these rituals and these ancient technologies, what they bring to us. And like you said, sometimes it's hard lessons, and it's fear, because you don't know if it's going to teach you a hard lesson, an easy lesson, and what's going to happen, right?
Yes, but these are sometimes the challenges that come as blessings in disguise, to give us a little push, and to
Exactly.
lower our head down again to earth. And as we say, the Toltec is the art of learning to be human.
Nice. I like it. I like it. And one of the seals that's very important in the progression, in the 20 seals of destiny, is the human, and that's part of what we are. It's becoming human. It's interesting, and we don't know how to be humans. I think it's something that we need to learn.
Mm, That's exactly. Well, this is what brings us to step into mm, these ancient rituals that have been kept for m- millennium in the nations and tribes. And then they've opened up now to come now into the cities.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so,
To be within, with everybody. Yeah,
yes, exactly. And this gives us a little,
a
it's
push.
like divine saying, okay, we're gonna send you this, so maybe you can catch the signs.
Exactly, exactly. And it's a lot of the times it's catching the signs. It's understanding the signs. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're done. We're finished with this segment. But before we finish, I want to share this, and this is something very dear, because Michelita gave me this, and you've seen it when I have my background. It's part of what I have there in my furniture. But this is I'm talking about ancient technologies. This is my power stone, and this Michelita gave it to me about 20 years ago, maybe somewhere. I don't know. And this is what I use when I go to rituals, when I perform, things, especially on body. And it has a lot of energy. It has a lot of power, and I've used it in a very, very specific times in my life. And it always comes with me. So just wanted to say that this, I thank you for this, and it's my wizard's stone, let's say, in a way. Jesus, the embodiment of divine wisdom and love, revealed the path of unity between God and men, the state we call Christ consciousness. Across Mesoamerica, this same archetype appears as Quetzalcoatl in the central Mexico, and then as Kukulkan in the Mayan, in the Yucatan Peninsula. They're symbols of renewal, enlightenment, and harmony. Together, they echo one eternal truth: that divine consciousness is not confined by religion or culture, but lives within every heart awakened to love. That I wanted to open with that because I think it's a very, very nice way to bridge the consciousness of the Christ consciousness to the what we're talking about, of ancient technologies, of ancient cultures and traditions. So what can you share about this?
Quetzalcoatl. We are all Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl lives within all of us, as divine consciousness does also, because it's a state of consciousness. And many times it's these archetypes, avatars, that have come to our system, to Rantia, to guide us, to show us the way, to remind us, as Jesus, as in many ways. So Quetzalcoatl, uh, the name Quetzalcoatl, Quetzal, which is the Quetzal, which is a bird,
Mm-hmm.
and Coat, which is snake.
Mm-hmm.
So many people call the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl,
Yeah.
which really also Quetzalcoatl is the precious, the precious bird serpent. And this state of consciousness is learning or remembering to be able to move like a snake in the earth, the material world, and to be able to connect as a bird to the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Quetzalcoatl is the harmony of the balance of the spirit and material world. That we can be here as we are, as learning to be human, connected to divine source where we come from, and it's a process, it's a transformational process that is connected to the sun. So the sun emanates light frequency codes, and in our sacred rituals we receive the sunrise or the sunset to be able to receive the emanation of this frequency, which activates through our third eye and our pineal gland.
Mm-hmm.
uh, to awaken. It's an awakening process that, for example, in Teotihuacan, the pyramids of Teotihuacan,
Oof. Many
uh,
things happen there,
many things
but
happen
yes.
there. This is one of my favorite places in the earth, which uh, we can talk about this for many hours.
Yeah, I think we can have to do a special podcast on Teotihuacan.
Yes, and and actually it's a process of transformation of our being, of death and rebirth. which there's the pathway which they call it the path of death.
La calzada de los muertos. Yes.
Exactamente, la calzada de los muertos. And what are we doing? We are letting go of aspects of our being that no longer serve, that maybe come from ego, so that we, through this process, can arrive to the pyramid of the sun of enlightenment. And we have the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl.
Mhm. And it's at the beginning of actually of the calzada de los muertos. That's where
It's
you
at
start.
Yes, exactly. That's where we start, because it's reminding us, it's telling us the path that we will walk.
Exactly.
Yes, this is the path that we will walk, so that we can have this inner connection with the worlds, no? Because there's the three pyramids, the Trinity in
Mhm.
Teotihuacan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Quetzalcoatl, the moon, and the sun.
Yes,
Exactly.
but it's also, the three worlds.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
The
the
three planes of action of material, mental, and spiritual that we interact in.
Exactly, and this is what Quetzalcoatl is bringing to us, is reminding us. Although, the archetype or the avatar, also in Mexico, uh, was known as Seacatopiltzin Quetzalcoatl, as a being a very well respected Tlatoani leader, priest in Mexico, that was born in Namatlan de Quetzalcoatl.
Another
Uh,
beautiful place,
Another beautiful place.
mystical, magical place.
And the whole process that Quetzalcoatl went through is a process of, in the Toltec, we go through these rites of passage, a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
So there are
Mm-hmm.
13-year rites of
There's the
passage.
13 again.
So voila. So the first 13 years is the east, Tlahuizlampa, the direction of the light. And what is
Mm-hmm.
this direction of the light? Because the east is where the sun rises. And what does the sun bring? Christ consciousness. Yes.
Yes,
So
exactly.
exactly, this is what the sun represents for us. The east, the rising sun, is Quetzalcoatl. And then we come into the south, which is Huizlampa, Huitzilopochtli, the spirit of the hummingbird, which shows us the path of love, to follow our hearts, to be warriors of light, warriors of love. But to be able to be this warrior of love, we need, and the bird just saying right now outside. So, we need to let go of many things in our lives, and to really tap into this divine consciousness that we receive, to follow this path. And then we come to the west, which is Cihuatlampa, which is a direction of divine feminine energy, which is a direction of the medicines and of transmutation and transformation. So, what do we need to transform and transmute within our being in this sacred alchemy to be able to walk into the north? And the north is the Mitlampa, Tezcatlipoca, which is the mirrored, the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which you have in your obsidian stone. It's the smoked mirror. And through this smoked mirror is that we are able
I'll
to,
use the reference. Yes.
please show us the reference. This is Tezcatlipoca, Mitlampa. And what
How it glows.
we can see ourselves. This allows us to see who we are with, and to see our shadow.
to see us we are in our balanced nature, in our dual nature, in which is and that's very important. Let me just make that point because we tend to try to destroy our balance, but we
Mhm.
have to embrace our balance in both parts. And the mirror, as the archetype, as I explained it, is that's the final point where you're going to be confronted with yourself. So are you going to be loving that person that you're seeing, or are you going to be striking it? And if you strike it, you're going to strike yourself. So that's the concept. We see it in a lot of pictures. We see it in Star Wars. We see it in A Never Ending Story. Any, true hero's quest has the step of the mirror. But please
Exactly.
continue, Michelita.
Yes. See, but this is where we see it. It's always telling us, this is a this rites of passage, that the spiral that we walk through, and then, in this mirror of seeing our true self as we are, then there's consciousness. So we bring this to light so then we can come back to the east as
But in a more elevated, it's the same spiral, but now you've reached another level. Now you go up because it's a spiral. It doesn't
it's
stay put. It has movement,
exactly,
the
exactly,
dimension. It has
exact,
space,
exactly. It's
time and space. Actually, both of them. So awesome. I'm really glad that we're reaching these conclusions because I mean you're basing a lot of the Toltec and what the Teotihuacan and the I mean the that part which is Quetzalcoatl and I a lot of what I see in which is also the Kukulcan in the Mayan, and it's basically the same story, but it is, and what you're saying about what happens in Teotihuacan, which is also the city where people become gods, where humans become, where you become a god. So
Mhm.
this process, and I've lived it, and it's truly magical, and I cannot explain it until, I mean, you have to experience it yourself. But once you descend the sun pyramid, that frequency, because it creates something happens there when you're at the top, that you come down and it just when we're talking about the frequencies, it just takes you to a different level. So let me just put into a little bit of context of Quetzalcoatl, and I mean what you're saying, and we've seen the stories in even in the Mexican history that when the Hispanics the Spaniards came into Mexico, they saw the Moctezuma, and that's why he received him. As Quetzalcoatl, and he came from the east. So that we see all these things that show us, and that was the blending of two worlds. That was, when the new world met the old world, and that started that sequence of, what now is Mexico. Even that blend of the Hispanic culture and the local culture that gave us, these beautiful Latin American cultures that we are. So, and that's something that I see here in Spain, and I maybe didn't realize it or really appreciate it so much in Mexico, but you see the convergence of all the different races and all the different blends that happen through this beginning of Quetzalcoatl, let me say it that way, and created such a powerful identity of people, and that really bridges all of us. You see it here. You have a lot of Argentinians, you have a lot of Venezuelans, and that bridges us, and I see that beginning, for that Quetzalcoatl that Moctezuma received, this new blending of people. And also one of the things that I like about the concept of Quetzalcoatl is the process of how you go from from the ground, exactly like you were saying, and in that evolution into and you see that sequence in what I teach in the Solkin, in the seals. One of them is the serpent. It starts with the dragon, which is the mythical representation of that serpent. Then the earthly representation, which is the serpent, and how that is the basic instinct. And then through that process in that seal progression, you get to the eagle, and the eagle is now the animal that has the vision. So you completed this whole sequence, and now you have the balance of the entire scope of existence of animals, archetypes.
Yes, yes, yes. And And I did want to mention also that you know, for us, o sea, Quetzalcoatl, coming back to why Kukulkan to
Yeah.
connect is when Quetzalcoatl is faced with the rites of passage of the shadow, which is in the north, the Tezcatlipoca,
Mm-hmm.
that he falls, he get they give him pulque, he gets drunk,
A lot of
and
failure, a lot of not failure, but the adverse situations. Yeah.
right, adverse situations. So he goes to the east, to Yucatan, to the land of the Maya, and in this process of transformation, he arrives finally to Chichen Itza,
Mm-hmm.
and it is in Chichen Itza where he receives the enlightenment and becomes Kukulkan.
Okay. I
Okay,
didn't know that.
so
Thank you.
Kukulkan is a space of enlightenment.
Good. What we could call the Buddha.
The Buddha, well, like Buddha in the Bodhi tree.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he received like this aha moment
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The enlightenment.
of Christ consciousness.
Exactly.
Uh, so also, about Teotihuacan is that you're walking into a grid of harmonic frequency, like these sacred ceremonial centers are uh,
Yeah, they're on grids, on earth grids.
earth grids, exactly. And so as you walk in, you are receiving this transmission, but also the symbol of Teotihuacan, as you mentioned, is the place where the human becomes God.
Mm-hmm.
Is because if you see the pyramid of Teotihuacan, of
It's
the
yeah.
sun temple, the Teocalli, and if you stand up and you stretch your arms and look up, it's exactly the same design as the sun pyramid. So what is it? It's our human that's looking up to the universe.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
you get
it's a human reaching, looking into the heavens. Nice, nice. I like it. Oh,
say
this is yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna have to extend this later, Michelita, because I mean, there's a lot of things to unpack. I mean, I think each segment that we talked about has a lot of information and a lot of things that we can share. So I really like the conversation and but like all good things come to an end, and this has to come to an end. But before we go, I want you to tell us. I mean, we have all your links here that you can visit and you can go and see Michelita. But tell us a little bit of Chico Men, what you do, so that people can get to know you better.
please reach out. I say I'm a missionary. I'm on a mission from God, and I travel all over, uh, opening retreats and workshops, conferences, and through Shikome, which is a healing music and sacred arts festival, and has become a peace movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I open in different cities and countries now, taking this message. Mm, so I have a sound alchemy school online, sound
Mm-hmm.
alchemy and ancient wisdom online school also. And uh, traveling around. So please reach out because,
Yes.
I give
Yes,
the
reach out
workshop.
and that's something that you do, and you see. I see a lot of your publications, and it's like, where's she now? In Australia, South Africa. So anybody that is watching this and you want to talk to Michelita, reach out and definitely.
Yes, and we have the technologies that you can reach out and follow. Mm, my offerings. This is all just offerings of sharing what I have learned on my path to, I can only share what I've learned and what I've
Exactly. That's what
and
we
what
can only do.
and what I've
Like what we're
experienced.
doing.
Yes,
Yes.
and for me this is, just an honor to be able to share with others what has worked for myself. So
Well, thank you, Michelita. It was really, for me, it was an honor to have you here. It was a very, very good conversation. I think we touched on very, very good points, and definitely we'll have you more often and to expand into these topics. So, thank you, Michelita, and thank you to our viewers. Hope you liked it. Remember to subscribe only if you liked it. Remember that you can put the alerts so that you can watch it. And if you like it, tell people about it. They might find something interesting. So thank you for your time. I'm Santiago Kneeland. This is The Divine Within. The ancient wisdom part of the segment is over. And now I bid you adieu and carpe diem. On the Divine Within podcast, we'll share real conversations to help you find a personal connection with God. My goal is to support your faith, growth, and journey toward discovering the divine within yourself. Join us to deepen your faith and spiritual journey.